I think it's important for athletes to be here at EarthX and athletes to realize in general that in order for us to advocate or make an impact in the sustainability world, that we don't necessarily have to be engineers and architects and scientists.
The perspective of a pro like you with sports and sustainability. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I think it's important for athletes to be here at EarthX and athletes to realize in general that in order for us to advocate or make an impact in the sustainability world, that we don't necessarily have to be engineers and architects and scientists, but we can utilize our social capital and our platforms to draw attention to the issues that exist and, more importantly, provide solutions for those.
How can we implement that for the future generation? Starting to see you as a role model. So what can you implement that they can see and apply as well?
Yeah, a question that I always had growing up, and especially when I got to the NFL, was when NFL players do make it out of a certain situation, out of the hood, if you will, why do they only go home and hold football camps? I could hold the Gary Gilliam football camp and 300 kids are going to show up instantly and think if they touch my hand that they got the juice, right? Well, I don't want to sell that dream. It's one, very hard to become an NFL player. And even if you do, the NFL stands for not for long. Average NFL career is only 2.5 years. And unfortunately, the majority of NFL players end up bankrupt or broke soon after they're done. So I didn't want to go home and just hold football camps. I wanted to use my social capital to draw in resources, to provide opportunities, to let kids know that they have a way better chance and more longevity within a career of being a plumber or an architect, more than they would be as an athlete. So hearing that from an athlete, someone who's made it to the top of their sport, I think makes it resonate and hit a little bit more with those younger kids.
Exactly. And I would love to touch upon the idea behind the bleacher garden. It is so visual and hopeful. So why was it important for you to tell that story, and especially for children?
Yeah, so the Bleacher Garden is a children's book that I wrote. It's based on a true story that I did. Went back to my hometown and purchased an old school to convert that into affordable housing and community center, kind of a hub of resilience, if you will. And part of that development was to create a regenerative agricultural hub as well. Using the football field and the bleachers, we converted the bleachers kind of into terrace garden beds like Machu Picchu, utilized water collection, solar panels, there's chickens, there's bees, raised garden beds, no dig, no till beds. And it operates as a giving garden, an edible classroom, as well as a healing and a sensory garden. The therapeutic benefits that come from getting your hands back in the soil. And all the produce that we generate from it gets donated out to local food banks and given away for free, right? So combating food security, food localization issues. And as it pertains to kids specifically with the book, I've learned that kids are a lot more likely to eat kale when they help grow it, right? So if we can inspire the next generation through a children's book, they look at me as Gary the garden guy now, as opposed to being the football player.
What have you enjoyed here the most about EarthX?
I always say I'm a nerd trapped in an athlete's body, so I like just closing my mouth and listening more than anything, listening to the experts that are in spaces and places, seeing the different sectors, the different races that are here, the different ages that are here, and just really learning. Just, again, listening, hearing the different stories, the different presentations, learning about what has worked, what currently works, and what we need to work in the future. That's really why I'm here, is to learn.
Can you tie it in also to the FIFA World Cup that's coming up? And they're making that impact to try and aim for sustainability as well.
Yeah, I think FIFA, Super Bowl, right, any sporting events in general, they draw a lot of folks in. So the more efficient that we can become with those systems of, one, people getting there, the things that they use. Something one of my engineers used to always tell me was that waste is just energy that's not been reallocated the proper way, right? So how can we create more efficiencies around the waste streams, whether it be with the water, with the true waste, the compost? How do we make sure that those systems are in place so we can recycle those things and continue to get the positive energy out of them? Events like FIFA, like I said, the Super Bowl as well, all yield an opportunity to do that. And then also the fans, when the athletes themselves get involved with it and maybe challenge the fans to step their game up and let them know that we need this climate comeback and we need you to be a part of it. That call to action, I think, hits a bit harder when the athletes get involved as well.